Okay, welcome to this week's edition of Paper Crafting with Tracy. This week we are going to be featuring this Bouquet Blooms stamp set. Okay, many possibilities with this. And it's also got the coordinating framelits, which are called the Gatefold Blossoms. Because of this card. Okay, so we're going to start with this one here. My inspiration for this was a wreath that's in my daughter's room. So I'll just move this one aside. Okay, so we need to start. We're using Very Vanilla on this card here. And just like I used last week, okay, from this Tropical Chic designer paper, okay, I'm going to be using some of that as well. And then for the flowers, I've just put them on some Whisper White. Okay, so for my colors, I'm going to start with the wreath, and for that I'm using Sahara Sand. Okay, so I'll be using, okay, this die, and just because of the size of it, I need to ink it up this way. Okay, and then line it up. And there we go. So I'll just move that ink aside so I don't accidentally get it on stuff. And then I will put that aside because I need my green, because as you can see I put some leaves in there. So for the green for this, I'm using Soft Sea Foam. And we'll just pick it up. Okay. And it's just kind of a estimate as to where they're going to be. Okay, and those will lighten up a little bit as the ink dries. There we go. And we'll stick one up through there. Okay, I'll just put that aside. Okay, so we will move those aside. And now I need to do my flowers. So I am going to start with the yellow, the large flower, which I'm using So Saffron. Okay, and that's for this large one here. And then the other two, this pinky colored one is Petal Pink, and then the blue is Balmy Blue. So let's start with the So Saffron. Oops, there we go. And I can probably still put a couple more on there in the interest of utilizing my paper. Okay, now I don't know if you can see this with the stamps, with these flowers. Okay, there's, let's see if I stick it on this, you might be able to see a little better. There's a little point on the end, and what that does is that corresponds with the dies, with the little notch in the die, so that you know which way to put it through your big shot. And so I'll put that back on here. And do a couple more. There we go. And I'll put that one aside. And then I'll get my Petal Pink and my other. Okay, so I'm just making sure that that point points up so that I know how to put it through the big shot. There we go. Now I will run my flowers here through the big shot with my dies. So I've got my large one. Okay, there's my medium and my small ones. I got one more here to go. There we go. And now it's assembly. Just close my ink pad here so I don't accidentally get my paper. Okay, so now I'm going to build it all. So let's just move these aside for a moment. I'm going to attach this to the designer paper. I find it easier to build up because it's harder to tape this when I get all those embellishments on it. There we go, and I will get my cardstock. So again, I'm using Very Vanilla, but this is the Very Vanilla Thick. And I will attach that. There we go. Now, before we attach the flowers, I have some ribbon here, and it's a burlap ribbon. Okay, we used it on a card a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to just cut some off. And all I did was fold it in half, like so. Put a good, this creases nicely. And then I'm going to use my glue dots to attach this. Okay, so when you're working with glue dots, you never want to leave them in the package exposed like so. Okay, so I always leave some there and then peel back to where I am. Now I want to put a glue dot in the center to hold my fold in place. Okay, like so. And then I'm going to put a couple glue dots on the back just to hold it in place. Oops. There we go. And I will attach that. And then I will trim those off. Perfect. And now I will get my dimensionals and attach my flowers. So I'm going to move the yellow off to the side here. And it doesn't really matter how you place them. Okay, I'm going to put another one over here. Okay, and I'll probably use my mini ones for these small ones. The larger dimensional will probably fit, but okay, I'm going to tuck one there. Tuck one in behind up here. There's my other flower. And I'm going to tuck one up here. Okay. Okay, now in the center of my large one, I'm going to put a rhinestone just for some pop. And now the final thing I have to do on the front is add my sentiment. And for this one, in the center of my wreath, I'm just using, from the stamp set, the Friend stamp. Okay. Line it up. There we go. So there we go. The front is done. So now we will do the inside. I'll move that aside. We'll get a piece of Very Vanilla again first and stamp it. Okay, so for this one I off-stamped, which is why I want to do it before I get to the attaching it. So I'll ink up the large one again. I'm going to off-stamp it. There we go. And then I'm going to take the Balmy Blue again. And I'll just stick a couple on there. And like I said, it lightens up a bit as you go. There we go. Now I can attach that to my designer paper. And I use the same design on the inside. And now I'll attach that to the inside of my card. Okay. And here's the inside, so I'll line that up. And there we have it. The card is complete. I'll just put the fold in. And there we go. All ready to give to somebody. Okay. We'll move on to our second card, which is this one, which is a little different than how we normally do cards. Okay, that's what it looks like. And this is the using the Gatefold Blossom dies, because then it opens up like so. Okay, so let me just move a couple things aside. Now, one thing I wanted to remind you, as last week, right now we have our bonus days on. So if on my website you order, for every $60 that you order in product before shipping and taxes, you will earn an extra $6 in bonus dollars that you can spend in the month of September. So this is on all of August, and then you can spend them in September. Okay, the other thing I want to invite you to is I've also got starting a blog. It's Paper Crafting with Tracy at or Blogspot, and then I'm also on YouTube as well with Paper Crafting with Tracy. Okay, so what I'm going to start with for this card is I'm going to take some of the soft sea foam cardstock, and it's cut to 5 by 9, and then we need to take these dies. Now the way these dies are designed, okay, is you line it up on your paper like so that the edge goes to the one end of the cardstock, and then you line this edge up on the edge as well. And I'm going to go stick that through, and while I'm there, I'm also going to do the other one, which is for the other end. Okay, and it does the same thing. Line it all up. Okay, so I'll go put that through. Big shot. And this is what I get. Now, when you do this, where these dies, that you won't be able to see, but when the dies are in place, they leave a little notch here on the end. And what you want to do is score along those lines. So I already did that, like so. Now before I start folding that, I want to do all my stuff for it. So I'm just going to put that aside for a moment. I'm going to get some Whisper White, and we want to make our flowers. Okay, so for this one I'm using Daffodil Delight and Merry Merlot. So I'll just get my flower here. Now for this one, I'll just, there we go. And I need to get my little mini stamps. The little mini flowers. And again, these ones also have a little notch on them. And that coordinates with the die as well. And I'll just stick that aside for a moment because I'm going to need that again. And then I'll get my Merry Merlot and do the large flower again. Now for this one, I didn't want the Merry Merlot super dark. You can see from the writing how dark it is to the flower. So once I inked up my flower, I'm just going to off stamp and then put it on, just to take a little bit of the ink off. There we go. I find it gives it a bit of a textured look as well. So I'll just move the ink aside, and now I'll take those through my Big Shot. And I'll get my flowers. Okay, so okay, there's my flowers. Oh, so I'll just move those up a bit. And then I'm going to start with the soft sea foam again. And I've edged everything with a sponge and then added some of the greenery. So I will get my soft sea foam here. Okay. Make sure I'm going on the right side. And so I'm using the same ink that I've stuck, or that I'm as the paper. And this will just come up a little darker. There we go. Now I'll take my sponge, and all I want to do is just add some definition to it. Like so. And you can make it as dark as you want. Now I'm also going to do it to the other edge. Not so worried about on the flower edge there because that's going to be covered. There. Okay, now I will take my flowers. I'm going to start with this one here, and I'm just going to tape this one down. Mary Merlot. And just line it up, okay, with the petals on the cardstock, just like so. So I will fold this so that I can see where I want to do my placements. And I'm going to use dimensionals again. So I'll put a couple behind the flower here. So I want my flower more over this way, just, and then I'm going to have to use little dimensionals for these tiny flowers. And I'm going to stick one here. And I'm going to stick one over here. And that will, so that's all in place. Okay, and get my sentiment, which for this one, I just put happy for you. On my block. We'll ink it up here. And I'm again using the Mary Merlot for this, but this time I didn't off stamp it. There we go. And then we will add our rhinestones just to the center of the large ones. Okay, so the outside is complete. Now we'll just do the inside. So I cut a piece of Whisper White that will be on the inside, leaving a 1/4 inch all the way around. And what I want to start with is the little yellow flowers again. And the Daffodil Delight, and just near the top. And because those have a bit of a gap, all I want to do is ink up one of the other flowers, or one flower, and I'll just turn the stamp and put it on. And then I'm going to take the leaves again with the soft sea foam. And I'm just going to put them on either side. There we go. And now I will add that to my card. And there you have it. Okay, and this just got to be careful of those leaves. Folds in like so. And it's complete. So thank you for joining me today for our installment of Paper Crafting with Tracy, using the Bouquet Blooms and coordinating framelit dies that come with it. Okay, I will be here every week. on Sundays at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please join me and please share to help spread the word around about this. So our completed projects. Okay, and I will see you next week. Thank you.